because it was hard. Success doesn't come easily. And even though it was, I wanted to pull my hair out some days, but it was 100% worth it because that's who I am today. Like I appreciate those struggles because I'm better at who I am and what I do today because of those struggles.
Welcome to F Up Your Life, where messing up isn't the end of the story, it's just the beginning.
I'm Kurt. This is Kristen. And on this show, we sit down with ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We talk about the failures, the moments that didn't make sense at the time, and how those moments reshape their faith, their family, their finances, their fitness, or maybe their freedom.
And if you want to go deeper, our book, How to F Up Your Life, breaks down practical wisdom and hard-earned lessons across faith, family, finances, fitness, and freedom. You can find it on Amazon or at fupyourlife.com. We'll drop the link in the description. So whether you're building something new, rebuilding, reimagining, or just refusing to quit, welcome to the show where your mess might become your message. Shout out to our sponsors, Pet Club 24/7 and Support Local. You can learn more about them from their links in the bio. So let's get into today's story. We're so happy to be introducing one of our friends, Kristie Schneider. She's the owner and principal designer of Reveal Interior Design, which is a Las Vegas-based residential design firm that specializes in high-end remodels, new builds, and full home furnishings. With over 20 years of professional experience, including a strong background in design build, Kristie brings both creative vision and technical expertise to every project. She is very, very good at what she does. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Interior Design and Advanced Remodeling certifications, including Master Certified Kitchen and Bath Remodeler and Universal Design Certified Professional credentials. So Kristie's known for her complete curation approach, guiding clients from concept through construction and final installation with clear communication, thoughtful planning, and meticulous attention to detail. So through Reveal Interior Design, her mission is really simple. It's just to transform homes and elevate lives, creating spaces that not only look beautiful, but truly enhance how our clients live and work and thrive. And we're so honored to have her on our show today. Thank you so much for joining us, Kristie. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, wasn't that enough? No.
The full picture, right?
It covers it. Yeah, no, thank you so much. I love what I do. So I've wanted to be a designer since I was young, before I even really understood what an interior designer is. I looked back once I figured it out and I said, oh my gosh, I've always been a designer, even when I was 7, and I didn't even know what that was. So it's a part of me for sure, and it will be for the rest of my life. As you noted, I've gone to school for this. I have certifications in this. I've been formally doing this for 20 years, so I'm not going to stop now. I've had positives and negatives throughout the time, which we'll talk about a little bit today, but overall, it's been a fantastic career choice for me, and I'm excited to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And you didn't mention this when we were going through the bio, but you are award winning. You've won several awards for your work, which just shows that passion can be rewarded, right? When you're so passionate about what you're doing and you love what you're doing, like people notice that and they recognize it. And then on top of that, you've even won so many awards that you've been asked to come and judge awards that you've already won. What was
Yeah.
that like? Like, what was it like on the other side of it?
Oh, that was a really cool experience. I went to Chicago to be a judge. I was amongst about 12 other people that were spread out in the country. And yeah, we saw the best of the best projects, residential design from a kitchen remodel to whole home remodels and additions, some just incredible things. So it was a really neat experience to be able to turn the tables, be on the other side, and just see, like, from the judge's perspective, really what they were looking for, and the little like details that you can put in the writing about the project that can actually put you over the top to win versus just having a pretty project and not explaining it well enough. So I learned a lot that I'm absolutely going to put that into the future when I'm doing more, trying to get more awards.
Yeah, that's such a unique situation. You know, everybody wants to win the awards, but it's like next level when you're the judge.
It was
You're
a little
giving the award.
scary. Yeah, it
So,
was, no, it was
Krista,
great.
you've obviously effed up in a very good way,
Yeah.
reading your bio and just, all that you've accomplished and done. Is there, where in your life have you maybe effed up in maybe not so good of way,
Mhm.
that you could maybe share with people to give them some inspiration that they can also, get through maybe that particular challenge you may have faced?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very blessed that I haven't had a lot of really bad setbacks or F ups. One of my big, I guess setback is a good word for it, but it really just changed how I was looking at things. And that was back in 2009. So it's been a bit. I had already graduated college. I was working for a company that was kind of in the design industry, but I wasn't a formal designer. I had been there for a while, but I just decided that it wasn't a good fit for me anymore. And I wasn't feeling, the enthusiasm and the education that I was bringing to that position just wasn't valued. So I felt it was time to just turn it and, move to something else. So at that time, I decided to then start my own design firm back in 2009, which didn't go so well. So, as much as entrepreneurship can feel like, oh, this pretty shiny thing that you want to go for, it's not easy. And I know you both know that, and many people out there do, but many people don't. So, back then, I was still young, thought I could just make it because I knew how to be a designer, but I very quickly learned that I didn't know how to be a business owner. And I didn't know, although I had formal design education, I didn't have real world design experience. And those two things just really kind of brought me down. So after about a year of having that company, I decided, okay, now is not the time. So I switched gears and started working for other companies, which was just the best move for me at that time. It was a little discouraging, but we can't all have ups. We have to have the downs to appreciate the ups. So, um,
I love that because,
Yeah.
a lot of times when you end up being successful, a lot of people look at the success and don't see what it took you
Right.
to get to that point of success, the ups and downs
mhm,
we had to endure and we had to go through. And, so many times, you get into a profession like yours, but then, that business side of things and
Yep.
learning how to operate the business is a whole different realm, which we've experienced as well.
Mhm.
So it's really great to hear that story, which really, falls in line with how things were done with us as well. From all of that, if you could do something over of what you dealt with, on your way to having the success you're having now, what would it be? What do you think that lesson would be?
I think, everything happens for a reason. You take the good with the bad, but that going through that, it seemed like a setback. It seemed like I should be a hand designer 5 years out of college. Like, not many people get that, but you feel obligated because you're like, I have that degree. Um, so, it doesn't work that quickly in most cases. So the direction that I went all worked for a reason. After I closed down my business, I worked for somebody else for about a year. It was a 2-hour commute. It killed me. So after about a year working for that company, I was like, this just isn't, it's not for me. I'm not putting in what I know I can, because again, it was design industry, but it wasn't a design job. So even though I was still learning things in the overall industry, which was very positive, it just wasn't bringing me towards where I knew I could be. So after a year with that company, I started kind of looking to see what's out there to really get me where I want to be. And that's being an actual interior designer, working for a firm and learning on the job. So as I was looking, I kept coming across this design build company. Given I'm in San Jose at this time, San Jose, California. So I was in the Bay Area after graduating college. I was there about 11 years. And this is about 2010, 2011. And this company kept popping up on job postings. And so I applied for a design assistant position with them. I didn't get it. I applied for a project management and sales position with that same company. I didn't get it. So I was like, okay, this is getting frustrating, but there's something about this company that I just kept pulling me in. So they had another position for a part-time design assistant. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Three's the charm, right? So I applied, I got it. And I was super excited about it, but it was part-time. I was literally losing money by taking this position. I was going in the red every month, but just, something in me said that this is what I have to do, even if I'm negative for a little while. So I took the position. It ended up being the best decision I ever made because I was only with them for a few months part-time, and then they pulled me in full-time. And then just after about 3 years, I became the design manager for that company. So I'm very proud of how I kind of built up with that company. I'm still great friends with the owners and some of the employees that still work there. It was just that kind of pivotal moment for me, working for that company that really pushed me to the trajectory that I am today and the type of designer that I am today. So it was such a good experience to go through that.
I love that. It's for so many different, like that is just jam-packed with so many lessons because I sit here and I think how many people would have done that first application and not been accepted and would have thought, oh, okay, and never tried again. Oh, that must not be the job for me. But then you tried again, you reapproached it from a different way, rejected again. How many people then after the second time would be like, oh, I get, okay, that's confirmation, definitely not supposed to be here. And then the third time, seeing that it was a pay cut and all that, like how many people would go through all of that? But I love that you knew that you wanted to be a part of what they were doing and you just kept going. You kept reapproaching it. You dealt with the different sacrifices that you had to deal with
Yeah.
just to get your foot in the door because you knew if I just get my foot in the door, they'll recognize my value. And that's what they did. They recognized your value and then they quickly elevated you to greater positions. Guys, that is a huge lesson for all of you.
Keep
Don't give
going.
up. Keep going. And know that your value will be recognized. And we see this a lot with singers who went to a bunch of different studios and writers who were rejected 400
Mhm.
times before
Mhm.
their story was ever published and now they're bestsellers. That tenacity, there's something to be said about it. And when you were going through all those times and dealing with the disappointment after the first and then the second and then the third time, realizing that it wasn't, you were going to have to make those sacrifices. Were there any moments throughout that where you like doubted and maybe thought, okay, maybe this isn't for me? And if there were, like, what made you keep going back?
Yeah, no, 100%. This was that short time where I was like, am I not supposed to be a designer? I went to school for this and I really do like it, but am I not meant for it? Is the universe trying to sell me something? So I really went through this like time of what else would I do, and I was thinking of all sorts of things that had nothing to do with what I do today. And so glad that I kept with it because I've never looked back once I got that job. And it's yeah, I wanted to quit for a little bit, but don't quit, just keep going.
Was it like a prompting or a spark or a dream? Like what made you keep doing it? Do you know what I mean?
Applying for that company?
Yeah, like like truly most people would just stop
Yeah,
and just accept it and settle. But what drove you to try one more time and then one more time again?
yeah. I don't know if I can really answer that because
Yeah.
sometimes you just have a gut feeling and you just have to listen to it. And so many times you don't listen to it because the other side of your brain is saying something or people are talking in your ear and you listen to that instead. But, there's been just a very few times in my whole life where something's just really talking loudly, your gut's talking loud and I just had to listen. So that's kind of the only way I can answer that. But I'm so glad that I did.
That's
What do they say? You're 80% of the time your gut is right.
Mhm.
So listen
Yeah.
to it.
And I listen to it more and more the older I get because it is almost always right.
Yeah. That's
You've learned to trust it. But how
Mhm.
can you learn to trust it if you never test it, right?
Right.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that was a line.
That
You
was a
won't
good one.
trust it if you never test it. Whew, that was a
Not
good.
to say it's always right, so be careful,
Yeah.
because it could have not worked out. And then I was like, now I'm in the red,
Yeah.
financially, but I was going to make it work no matter what. And I did.
Figure it out.
Yeah. So, what would you say to someone that might be currently thinking about, going into business for themselves and they have a profession? They've learned a lot through what we've talked about today,
Yeah.
but, maybe they're in the middle of their own struggle or setback or trying to make
Or
that
even
decision
transition.
in transition
Mhm.
or, they started a business themselves one time like you did. They went back and learned more and got more prepared and then started their business. Is there anything that maybe that you can think of that you could say to them?
I mean, other than the obvious gut, just trust your gut. If it really feels right to you, if you think it's going to work, then try it. But there's so many resources now. Like, people say that all the time nowadays because we're so digital than we were even 20 years ago. It was not as much as it is now. So there's so many resources to try to reach out to people, in your field, or even if it's just business in general, to give you a little bit more of a sense of how you can gather your own thoughts to get it to where to where you want to go. But I mean, I think it's just resources and trying to listen more than you talk. Because if you're trying to get information or trying to learn something new, then you need to let that soak in, and not just be like, oh, I know it all. Because no, nobody knows it all. So, use your resources and that'll just make you stronger. I don't know if that answers your question, but
No,
It
that's
does.
good. We
Yeah.
have two ears for a reason, right? We
And
need
only one
right.
both.
mouth. We should listen twice as much as we talk.
Yes.
Can I ask too? I hear this all the time of people that go to school and they get a degree and they're so excited, whether it's in design, whether it's to be a lawyer, whether it's to be a doctor, whatever it may be. They get this degree and then they go and they try to start their own design firm. They try to start their own law firm or their own practice. And even though they are very schooled in their specialty, they've had no schooling or training in business,
Yeah.
managing a business, which I feel like is what happened to you. So
Hmm.
I love how you pulled back and then you jumped back in on the other side to start learning, okay, I need to learn how to operate this as a business and take all that I've learned and actually build something with it. What are some of the key things that you learned as you worked for these other companies that helped you, whether it's conceptually or operationally or policy wise? Like, were there some key things that you learned from working for these other companies that you've now taken and applied to your own business as you've been building it?
For sure. I mean, everything. So, I mean, everywhere you work, you take something from it, the positive, the negative. You try to just take the good pieces and learn from that, or only bring the good with you. But I mean, I learned a lot about business, whether it was being better at spreadsheets, which I still like to do. Obviously, design itself, I was still a very young designer, and I had, my boss at the time before I took her job that, and I only took it because she left, so it wasn't a
Okay.
weird
So we don't
story.
have to apologize. Not sorry, boss. You're welcome, boss.
Yeah, no, we had a great relationship. She taught me a lot about how to be a designer and how to listen to the clients and, make good notes and listen to your team. The great thing about that particular company is they were design build. So that means that you have the design team under one roof as well as the construction team under one roof. So it's really good communication and you learn a lot of the build side of the business while you're designing it. So it was very beneficial to me. But even from the owner, he came from, the big Googles of the world, and he knew a lot about marketing and just business strategy and how to kind of just set things up so it was very professional and very clean cut and how to make money. So, I mean, I learned a lot from them, from just the simple how to make proper notes to spreadsheets to, how to price things out. And it's just just so much that I take with me even today. And that was 15 years ago.
Feels like yesterday.
It does sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I had a lot of positions that were design industry, but not interior design, and they weren't setbacks. They were non-traditional as a design position, but I learned a lot from all of those. And I think, another thing that anybody that's thinking about going into business or just wants some guidance or advice is even consider working for companies that are similar to your career choice because you're still going to learn something from that end of it and you can bring that into yours. So I've learned, I feel like I'm a little more well-rounded of a designer because of all these kind of side companies I've worked for, on my path.
Yeah. And you do so much more than interior design. I mean, you oversee full-blown construction projects and remodels, and you're kind of a big deal.
I wouldn't say that, but
Did
sometimes
you
I feel like
see
I had.
yourself like expanding into those different areas initially, or is it something, sometimes people have a really big vision and they kind of reverse engineer it. Is that how it was? Like, did you see the bigger picture and you reverse engineered it and said, "Hey, I'm going to start here and then work my way into it"? Or is it something that came as the demand grew, right? You got really good at this one thing and then people started asking for more, so then you got proficient in that. And is it just something that organically continued to grow?
Well, I think when I was in design school, one of the teachers asked, "What kind of designer do you want to be?" And everybody's like, "I don't know. I want to be a designer." Like, what kind of question is that? Because we just didn't know. And even back then, I remember answering, I like doing kitchen and bath design, which is remodel work. And I do that every day and I love it still today. So I think that's one thing that also drew me to that particular company because that's, kitchens and baths are part of whole home remodels. I learned a lot from that. And I still do kitchen and baths today as well as the whole homes, but I was never really part of the furniture and the styling and the accessories and all of that up until I started this company. And I quickly learned that that is absolutely an important part of the overall design experience. And, although I love demo day and you get to take some walls out and put some beautiful stone and tile and fixtures in, but there's also the entire layer of then furnishing it and making it feel like a home that you can walk in and just be relaxed and enjoy and be proud of to your friends and your family and just live in. So yeah, I absolutely have developed more experience and more expertise in those types of layerings.
I love what you said earlier. You finally found the right people to learn from, to work
Mhm.
with, and you absorb that. And I think sometimes that's a place where people really miss something that's important to success. And I know when I entered the mortgage industry years ago, and I decided to start my own branches of mortgage. There was a guy that was very successful in that, and he was a big golfer. And so I invited him on a golf trip, which was up to Twin Falls, Idaho. So this was a 7 hour drive there and a 7 hour drive back. And I paid for
Yikes.
his golf, I paid for his hotel, and I picked his brain
So the
the whole way
5 hour golf
there
experience wasn't enough.
and
You
the
wanted
whole
an
way
extra
back,
14 hours.
and created just an amazing relationship. But it was funny when we were almost back. He goes, I just realized you invited me golfing. He goes, "You've done nothing but pick my brain the whole time." And he goes, "You're brilliant." And I said, "No." Well, I said, "You're brilliant. I'm just learning from the best, man." And that was a turning point for me in business. Just really absorbing, listening
Yeah.
to what he had to say, and taking it in. And so
Yeah.
I love that that you shared, because so important for people to
For
understand.
sure. Yeah, I think one of my struggles was when I became design manager. That was not something I had never managed. People on that level was something that I really, really loved and had a lot of passion in. And so I struggled a little bit becoming the manager of that team. And the owner really took me under his wing, and I still appreciate him because it was hard. But success doesn't come easily. And even though it was, I wanted to pull my hair out some days, but it was 100% worth it because that's who I am today. Like I appreciate those struggles because I'm better at who I am and what I do today because of those struggles. So absolutely.
And that's how you know the quality of a person is not by the absence of problems, by the quality of problems that they solve, right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes you successful is learning to solve high quality problems.
Hmm.
So I think it's so important as especially as an entrepreneur or a thought leader or, anybody that's organizing anything, welcome them, enjoy them because they're refining you, and the better you get at solving bigger problems, the greater value you have for society, and you will be compensated. Your compensation will be a direct reflection of the quality of problems that you solve.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
so important to learn to embrace those and use them, like truly be resourceful with it and use them to advance. This has
Thanks.
been such a great conversation. I love talking to you, and you're just a wealth of knowledge, and it's really inspiring, especially for those of us that sometimes when we're in the setback or when we're in the middle of the fire or the wilderness or the waiting, whatever it may be, that urge to just quit and be done with it feels like something that's going to be long lasting, but it always only lasts a moment, right?
Hmm.
That those moments of frustration and dealing with that setback or disappointment, it's only a moment and it will pass.
Yeah.
So you got to keep going. You got to keep taking that next step, doing that next thing, even if you don't feel like it, because you're only that one next step away from the breakthrough, which always follows a setback, right? Every time there's a setback, there's always a breakthrough every single time.
Yep. Yeah.
You got to take that next step to be able to get to that breakthrough. Such a powerful interview. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have
Yeah.
any other final words that you want to share?
I don't think so. I mean, I appreciate being, on this podcast with you. I think this is a lot of fun. I love being able to teach people what I've learned and what I find value in my personal life if they see the same values. So, if somebody is an interior designer looking to be that, like I'm absolutely open to letting them talk my ear off, just like you did, Kurt.
You got to take her golfing though.
Always got to pay
Okay, well, for
right? Pay
sure.
forward.
Kurt, do you have anything else?
No, just thank you, Kristie.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking time to share with everybody. I think it's going
My
to be
pleasure.
beneficial for so many.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for your time. We know how valuable it is. And really, thank you for being vulnerable and just sharing with us your real struggles and, kind of how you worked through all that and all the lessons that you learned from it. We're just so grateful that you've chosen to share it with us through this podcast. And all of the information to follow, connect with, and support Kristie is listed below. So we encourage you to check it out, show her some love. And we really hope that you heard something today that challenged you, encouraged you, or gave you permission to F up your life intentionally in the ways that actually lead to growth, purpose, and freedom. And we hope that you loved this episode as much as we loved being a part of it. And if you did, hit the like button and do us a couple of favors. Please share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And also comment, ask questions. We try to see all of them and respond to as many as we can. And again, if you want to subscribe to the channel, just hit the bell icon. And if you're listening on your favorite audio platform and you haven't yet, subscribe, tell somebody about the show, and leave us a rating. But thank you all for joining us on this episode. We will see you on the next episode of F Up Your Life. Until then, God bless.